Welcome back. So, Donald Trump already helping us in the Second Amendment community. He has been president less than a week, and he's already disbanded the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Now, one of the things that he did run on was the Second Amendment. And I even made a number of videos on this channel, not telling people who to vote for, but telling them who not to vote for when it came to Kamala Harris, however you want to pronounce it, because of her anti-Second Amendment stance as far as firearms go. Well, Donald Trump has never been the biggest friend to the 2A community, but like I said in previous videos, it did look like maybe that he had learned his lesson from his first term in office and some of the pushback that he got from the Second Amendment community. And it sounds like he's not really listening to the NRA anymore. In fact, they even put out a thing saying, Donald Trump, he doesn't really trust them anymore. That is also a good thing. There are better organizations than the NRA. But anyway, I wasn't really expecting him to do anything for us in the Second Amendment community within his first week in office, but here we are. So the Office of Gun Violence Prevention was put in place by Joe Biden, by the Biden administration, and it was part of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Now, when I say bipartisan, that means that it was voted for by both Democrats and Republicans. And those Republicans are turncoats. They should not still hold office because they do not have our best interests in mind. But anyway, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention was not what it sounds like. They make these bills, these things sound like something other than what they are. What it really was an office, had 52 employees whose entire job was to undermine the Second Amendment and to go after gun owners and FFLs specifically in unconstitutional and frankly illegal ways. Joe Biden talked about many times how that his administration put in place more executive actions to combat gun violence than any previous administration. Well, that's true, although I'm not sure if they really combated gun violence. They just combated guns. And again, lawful gun owners and FFLs. They revoked over 800 FFLs during the last 4 years of the Biden administration under a zero tolerance policy. Zero tolerance meaning that the ATF could go into any of these FFLs, check them out, and if they had simple things like clerical errors, like forgetting to cross a T or dot an I, they could lose their FFL. And that is a big deal. So that's a really big deal to me. When I think about my local FFL, Guffey's Gun and Pawn, those guys that work there, the owner is a friend of mine. I'm in there all the time. Everything that you see on the wall behind me came either from Guffey's or through Guffey's as an FFL transfer. If we didn't have Guffey's in our town, there would be nowhere to buy guns. You can't just order a gun online and get it shipped to your house. The way that the federal law is set up, it has to be transferred through an FFL. So in order for people to be able to, have their Second Amendment rights, you have to be able to buy firearms. If there's no FFL, you can't buy firearms. So this whole zero tolerance policy was a blatant attack on the Second Amendment because, if we can't ban guns, we get rid of the gun stores and then nobody can get the guns. We don't need to ban them anyway. And that was kind of their deal. And so, where I work, it's not a gun store, but people do make mistakes. Things happen. Clerical errors. We try our best not to make mistakes, obviously, but things do happen and things can happen at any business. And that is not a reason to shut down the business. They called these rogue gun dealers, that they shut down over 800 rogue gun dealers, when really, I'm sure the vast majority of them were totally law-abiding, FFLs that were just trying to make a living. Now, I rely on my FFL to acquire the things that, I use to protect myself, my family, and my home, but I rely on this video's sponsor, Aura, to protect me from online threats. I've talked about Aura for the last almost 11 months now, and that's because they've been a very good friend of the channel and they've been the main channel sponsor. And if you want to support Sawtooth Tactical, the very best way to do that is to sign up for Aura using the first link in the description. That link will get you 2 weeks free to try it out and see if you want to keep it. 14 days, absolutely free to see if it's worth it to you. Now, what does Aura do to you? It's online security, and it is all-encompassing online security. The biggest thing that they do is they go online and they find data brokers that have your information. And if you haven't used a service like Aura, there are data brokers that have your information. When I first signed up with them, which literally only took a couple minutes, they went on and they found all the data brokers that had my information that were selling my information to scammers and spammers, and they submitted opt-out requests on my behalf, and they got me off of all of those data broker lists, and I have not gotten any spam, I've not gotten any scam calls ever since. That is huge. They also have a VPN, so you can browse the internet totally safely and anonymously. They have antivirus software, spam and junk mail removal. They protect you from data leaks. They have 3 bureau credit monitoring, password manager, home title monitoring. Apparently it's a big thing where people file a piece of paper, get your home title, and then take loans out against your equity or even sell your home out from underneath you. Aura does all this stuff for you, all in one package that's very affordable. It's $12 a month. But again, if you use my link down below, aura.com/sawtoothtactical, you get to try it out for 2 weeks for free. That's 14 days. Again, aura.com/sawtoothtactical. So back to the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. They had 52 employees that now are going to be out on their ass. And I say good riddance. Think about all of the owners and employees of those over 800 FFLs that got revoked for simple, paperwork mistakes. Those people lost their livelihoods because the Biden administration was anti-Second Amendment and anti-gun. Well, now at least those 52 employees that were going after the Second Amendment and ruining other people's lives, well, they're going to have to find new jobs. And I think that that is a really good thing. But besides that, they did a bunch of other things too that are totally unconstitutional. One of them was enhanced background checks. They were really proud of that, right? Well, you know what? Enhanced background checks are not required by law. What is required by law, by federal law, is the NICS system, which is an instant background check system performed by the FBI, although I think the ATF took it back over in the last year, I believe. But that is the only background check you need to go through. And what happened here, I can't remember how many they said, 5,000. I believe their enhanced background checks caused 5,000 people to not be able to purchase a gun, even though they passed the NICS background check. This enhanced background check, they didn't pass, and so they weren't able to transfer a firearm and purchase a gun. They weren't able to use their Second Amendment because of this Office of Gun Violence Prevention. How much gun violence do you think it really prevented? I bet not very much. So this is a really good thing. Donald Trump, President Trump, is already looking out for our best interests. He has been putting in work already this first week, signing lots of executive actions, mostly undoing Biden administration era executive actions. And so far from what I've seen, I agree with the vast majority of them, especially this one. Now, let's hope that he does more for the Second Amendment. He did at one point say that he would absolutely get rid of the ATF's unconstitutional pistol brace rule. Now, as we know, or at least I hope we know, at the moment that pistol brace rule, is not in effect. So it's not something that we have to worry about, but court proceedings are honestly still ongoing. And so if he signs an executive action getting rid of that, that is another really good thing. So let's see what else he does for the Second Amendment. You know, he doesn't have to worry about running for president again. This is his second term in office. A president can only serve 2 terms in the United States of America. And so he doesn't have to do things to hopefully, be able to win again. He can just do what he thinks is best for America. And I do think that he believes in the Second Amendment. After he got shot in the ear, instead of saying anything anti-gun or anti-assault weapon or anything like that, the very next day, I think, or a couple days later, he was saying, no, people need to have guns. They need to be able to protect themselves from criminals and, honestly, from a possible tyrannical government, which let's hope that this next 4 years, the government is a lot less tyrannical than the last 4. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical and let me know down in the comments what you think Trump might do for or against the Second Amendment in the next 4 years. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.